Let's get it. Yeah. So let's talk about it. Good afternoon, my viewers. Welcome to episode 6 of Talks with Gensis Omega. It is your girl, Gensis Omega, and I have a very, very special guest that I'm just so happy to be interviewing today. Professor Dana
Trunnell.
I was going to say just Professor Dana because I always say that. That's her. And she was my professor this past spring semester in mass comp. How are you feeling today?
I'm feeling good.
You're feeling
I
good?
turned my grades in yesterday. I feel good.
Y'all, she gave me a B for the final grade. Can you say well to her? Keep it honest with the viewers. Just keep it real honest with the viewers. Was it?
It was well deserved, but not a A.
Not an A. Mama, don't treat me. Hey, I came most of the classes. Oh, I love her. So to get right into it, we were just talking right before we started rolling, and we were talking about the history of mass comp. So can you explain to the viewers? If I know it's not many mass comp majors out there, but can you just explain to the viewers?
Just about history in general?
History in the newspapers and everything.
Right, so Genesis was saying how boring she thought the newspaper unit was. And I told her that, there are some boring parts of any kind of history.
It is.
And, while some people might think that the newspaper industry is really boring, it's a really, 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 really important part of mass communication history. So, at the time period when we didn't have television and Netflix and the internet and our cell phones, right? Fire sticks, right? Newspapers really were they were controversial. They did all of this controversial stuff that you see on your on your YouTube channels and those kinds of things. That's what newspapers did at the time. And people really would wait until the next edition of the newspaper came out. Newspapers used to be so popular that they'd have a morning edition in some of the larger cities and then an evening edition as well. So anything that had happened in between the morning and the evening got published in the evening news.
Wait, so how long has newspapers been around? Like 1930s were they out, or was it way before?
Way before that. So newspapers were an essential part of communication at even before the founding of our country.
Okay.
And pamphlets such as Common Sense. Do you remember reading about this?
I really don't. Professor, don't treat me.
No, I won't.
I don't remember.
Common Sense was written was a pamphlet that was put out by Thomas Paine, right? And this was all information trying to stir up the public to have us understand the injustices of certain government officials on the American people.
And exactly, Thomas Paine brought what to the newspaper era? Is it?
So he was doing pamphlets.
The pamphlets,
so,
right?
And the same thing, you've heard of the Hamilton, right?
Right, of
Hamilton.
course.
And so Alexander Hamilton too did pamphlets along with some other people or papers. They were the Federalist Papers, and he was responsible for most of those. And these are, Thomas Paine's stuff was more like stirring up public interest in politics and getting them interested in what was going on.
Right.
Because, the idea was we don't want politics and everything to just happen to us.
Of course not.
We want, to be involved in it, to be participating in it, and to have a say. Right? So getting people stirred up with that. And then kind of the same thing with the Federalist Papers, right? What should our government look like? What should it be about? What sort of premises should we be basing human rights in America on?
So, as I was telling Cheeseburger, my professor just absolutely loves movies. She made us watch the Oscars for one assignment. So what was your views on the Oscars this past year? Be honest. Be honest.
Be honest.
Is it was it one of the best ones you've seen, or is it?
No, they do different things every year to try to jazz it up. I think you get more into the Oscars if you're really into the movies and if you're right. And so I am, and so I kind of I kind of get into those things. I try to, although I wasn't successful this year, I try to watch all the Oscar-nominated movies before the actual Oscars.
Do you like them? What was your favorite movie of 2018 thus far?
So it would have been 2017.
2017,
yeah.
Right, 2017.
So, like tons of people were really going crazy about that 3 billboards outside, Missouri. And I thought it was really good.
What was it about? I'm sorry, because I'm not aware of 3 billboards. I don't know if some of my viewers are aware of 3 billboards, but what is 3 billboards?
So it's a movie that is kind of about a woman whose daughter is brutally raped and killed.
Oh, wow.
And no one has been able to locate who did it. Right, and time has gone by, and so this woman decides to take these decrepit billboards that nobody's really been using and take out advertisements on them, kind of calling out the police department of this small town in Missouri.
And nobody knows what
right,
happened.
To do something about it, right? To kind of keep her daughter in the minds of them so that something gets done. And this is a really interesting story, and it kind of follows what goes on in the town with this woman who lost her daughter, her ex, who is the daughter's father, the police chief, and some other people. And there's a guy that's Sam Rockwell won the Oscar for Best Supporting Actor, well deserved, really well deserved, and he kind of plays this sort of racist, unlikable character. Really unlikable character.
I find it that when people play those type of characters, people feel that's how they are in real life. So they deal with controversy of people thinking like, oh, it was just a character. I'm not like that in real life.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
It's really hard to take one of those roles, because you suffer like maybe a diminishing fan base for a little bit, but then you do another movie and then you're awesome again.
And then you're awesome again.
Not everyone could be like Tom Hanks, who always plays like sort of a hero role, right?
I love Tom Hanks. Forrest Gump.
Woody in Toy Story.
That was
Toy Story? Yeah.
That was Tom Hanks?
He's Woody. It's his voice.
I'm not the only one that didn't know that Woody was Tom Hanks. Come on, I'm not the only one out there. And if you're not the only one out there, hit the comments below and let me know that I'm not the only one. So let's give a background to the viewers since you are journalism.
Yeah, so you want to know...
I want to know, okay, so what made you pursue journalism?
So initially when I first started college,
What school were you at?
I went to Illinois State
She
University.
said a long.
That was a long time ago. So I went to Illinois State, and I was confident, 100% sure I wanted to be public relations, PR.
PR.
Right,
yes,
that's what I thought, 100%. And I went to the PR class, and I think I had like 18 credit hours that semester. My first semester, I was very ambitious. And I went to that first couple of classes, and I thought, this is not what I want to do.
At all?
No.
I'm glad you found that out.
So, I have 2 degrees from undergrad. Actually, one is in English. I was a literature major. And I also have a journalism major.
I never knew that.
Yeah. So I read a lot. And so I kind of did that one, the literature one, as maybe like personal interest, but it's not really practical to be a literate, to read books.
Right.
Like everybody can read books. I don't know. So I was a good writer, and I'm really, really, as you know, fascinated with the media and how the media influences us. And so I started studying journalism, and it was writing newspapers, magazines, and for a really long time I thought that's what I wanted to do. Until I went to grad school, and I knew for sure, that's why I never pursued an education degree. I knew for sure that I did not want to teach. I did. I was like, I don't want to teach. There's no way. I can't handle it. Really, seriously. And then when I went to grad school, I had a graduate assistantship, and I had to teach. So that's part of your assistantship, to get your tuition paid for, and I loved it. And I was like, what was wrong with me?
Teacher.
I know, something was wrong with me.
Are you shy? Because I wouldn't feel as though you would think you're shy, because you're very outgoing.
When I was in high school, when I started high school, I was very, very shy. And this is a true story, and I've told the dean and the vice president. I told them at my interview. This really, really did happen. So I joined the speech team, even though I was super shy, because I had a crush on a boy. I'm serious.
Hey,
Serious.
hey,
So my whole career has
you
been
gotta be
changed.
fans.
He was. I'm just gonna be real. He was really. So I joined the speech team, and this guy was really good. He was really good at speech, really good. He was a state champion. He made national finals, and I was like,
Definitely good save.
well, I'm also super competitive. Super competitive.
So you found competition.
So I was like, yep. I gotta do whatever I can do
to the top.
to beat him. And he was a junior when I was a freshman. I know,
Wow.
scandal. And so when he was a senior, I had started getting good enough to beat him. But it took a lot. It took a lot of practice, and that's what I tell, for instance, my Com 101 students, just, public speaking.
Yeah.
The more you do it, the easier it gets. And so, yeah, I did start out shy, and every new speaking situation for me, like, this is kind of new. I'm kind of nervous, although
I can't tell.
I'm kind of having fun too. So,
I love her.
but any kind of new speaking experience makes you feel a little bit nervous. But now that I teach every day,
Faithfully.
that you get better at it, and you improve about it. So yeah, when I first started teaching, I was nervous, even though I knew what I was talking about, and now I'm not so nervous anymore.
So have you found like students that blows your mind each and every semester, like those kind of students that leaves a special mark, just like you leave special marks on your students as well. You do, really, because it's our education, and you're
And in the end, that's why I do it.
It's in your hands, and to teach it effectively, you gotta pat yourself on the back.
Well, thanks.
You got to.
Thanks, but that's why you do it. And we had a really good class.
We
this
really
semester.
did.
We talked about some really tough issues from the get-go. I don't know if you remember, but
flat around.
We're not going on.
Flat or is it round?
It's round. Period.
That's for y'all out there that don't know, it's round.
We had to spend a good portion of the day.
No, for real. People don't understand what we're talking about, but we spent a good portion on the day class period talking about whether the earth is round or flat. And there's some people that think the earth is flat. Seriously. Hey. But who are we to knock what the earth is? Round.
So in the end, the one thing he couldn't answer was, why are all the other planets round? And we can tell that.
True.
And Earth is just the only one that's not.
telescopes and stuff like that. I thought we actually seen the planets out.
Yeah, we have seen them. So, yeah. So when you have a class like we had, it really kind of invigorates you. It doesn't feel like you're coming to work. It feels like you're coming for an experience. And we had such a crummy classroom.
I missed the first class. We had the first. You probably didn't like that one though.
I liked the classroom. It's just that we had a student that had a disability, and it made it impossible for him to sit in there and learn effectively. And so I needed to move, so he had a spot.
I know that's right.
He couldn't sit where.
Because how the tables were so like.
Right, because that could also be a fire code for everyone else. Right.
That's true. That's true.
So we moved, and it was good. So classes like that are really awesome. I'm going to share a student. This is Com 101 student this year.
Okay.
He was. I'm trying to make sure I don't say his name because I'm so used to saying his name. Oh. He was the kind of person that have his phone out all the time, and I'm not a phone Nazi. Yeah. I will say, if you've been on your phone a lot, I'll say, you've been on your phone a lot too. That's too much. But he was on his phone always, and I couldn't, I'd say, hey, you've been on your phone too much today, and he'd put it away, and then he'd pull it back out later. And so, after a while, I was just like, whatever. You're going to do whatever. While you're here in my classroom, you're safe. He came almost every day, came late. almost every day, but you're safe, and sometimes that's all you can ask for.
Right, that's all.
So it got time to give his first speech, and he didn't do bad. He did exactly what I asked him. You know, he had some delivery issues, but he had poise. He used the front of the room and walked from point to point. But he was mumbling. He was mumbling. Like all the time, and you couldn't understand anything he was saying. So we got to the persuasive speech, and the persuasive speech is the last speech, and I kept giving him feedback. Do this, and persuasion is hard. I don't know if you remember your persuasion speech, but it's a harder speech than the other ones.
It was back in Eastern, and that was like 2 years in a semester.
So you're like, I forgot.
I just don't know.
So anyway, it's a little bit more difficult to do. He executed it perfectly. He made eye contact with everyone. He didn't mumble.
So he actually used your feedback.
After I thought he wasn't paying attention to anything else in the class, and neither did any of the other students in the class. They were just
always on his phone.
They just kind of like wrote him off, and then he got up and gave a speech. And I'll tell you, I do voting, I do awards, because you know me, award shows like the Oscars. So we have like the MVP of the class, and we have most improved, and everybody voted him most improved. And here's this guy that probably didn't like ever think he was going to do this, and I think I remember one day like writing, I wish that you would participate in class because you really are really smart, and you're just not.
Shout out to him.
And he did it, and you know, I gave him his prize, and he goes, this is him. He's like, this for me.
Just so nonchalant about it.
But that's the way he was about everything. I only saw him smile one time, and that's when he tried to hand me a stack of stuff he hadn't done all semester.
Outlay stuff. Look, that's professor.
He goes, he goes, and I was like, I just looked at him and I said, are you serious right now? And he just like, he went like this. That's the only. But you know what? I know I had an impact on him, even if he didn't want me to know. You know?
You do.
So that's like a huge compliment, and I'm gonna take that one with me for a long time.
Right? Because do you find it that it's some students are just like so hard to teach, but like you said, they do surprise you at the end. Do you have a lot of those, or is it like a mixture of good students that get the job done? Of course, you have some students that lag. How is your class variety?
I think for the most part, you'll see, and almost everyone in the class can see it. Here are the A students. Here are the F students, and then everybody else is. And I think, you know, it's not rocket science. All of you guys can say, I'm going to pick this person out to be the person who's not doing well in the class, right? You could probably do that. Really, honestly. So there's always some people that are going to drive you nuts. But I have to say, for the most part, have you heard the term, the squeaky wheel gets the grease? Right?
I've heard of that.
It means,
elaborate
it means, you know, the person who is kind of in your face more or complains the most is the one that gets the most attention, right? So
pets.
What I am no on the other side of things.
Okay.
So these are the ones that always have a problem. They're always complaining about their grade.
But never gets it.
Right. And so you give all your attention to these students. Meanwhile, you've got most of them that are really, really, really into their education. And they really, really do care. And sometimes you, as a teacher, you're like, oh, I'm spending all this time on these, and you think of them like it's mental anguish when you go home. You think about it. You're like, my God, this kid's so smart. If you would just do this work, and
so
you do, because
determines the final grade.
Teachers don't ever. I'm not going to say not ever, but most teachers can't just go home and not think about students. We do. You're like in our lives. You know, it's like.
Are you serious?
Yeah, of course. And if you hear like something that a student, maybe something traumatic is going on with a student, you take that with you. You're carrying it with you.
Everywhere.
Yeah, and you're like, how do I best show this student that someone cares about him or her? You know, when this tragedy is going on in their lives. So yeah.
Okay, so we can't get too personal with it, but it has been one of those situations this past semester for you, and it's...
There have been a couple of students. You know, I've had a couple of students who have lost siblings from violence.
Yes.
Gun violence.
How are your thoughts on gun violence and, city of Chicago? Because we are in the south suburbs of Chicago, but things that happen throughout the city does affect us still, so...
I think that... This is public, but I do think that we've got to do something about regulating guns, and I know that when we talk about Chicago, gun violence is usually, unfortunately, black on black crime, right?
It is.
But these school shootings, these are
another
mostly
one
right,
happened.
And another one happened since I last saw you, even.
I know, right?
And that's a different kind of violence. And yes, of course, criminals will always be able to get guns, but it's hard if you make it harder. Then it has to reduce the number it has to reduce it. We are the only country in the world that has this many problems, both with gang violence and with school shootings. The only country. Yes, there are incidents elsewhere, but 22 shootings in 2018 at schools. 22?
I didn't even know it was
22. I think that's the number I last heard.
And the most recent one, sorry that I don't know the latest. I know I've heard, but what was the newest one located at?
Texas. It was in San Antonio, Texas,
Wow.
or somewhere. No, maybe not San Antonio, but I thought it was Texas.
So I just really want to know, that's a few different scenarios. How do you think it is so easy to just bring guns in? I know some people think it's extreme as far as with metal detectors. As soon as you walk into a school, you see metal detectors. Oh, it's a bad school. I just feel like if we implement that, it just provides a little more security, because you could just literally walk in and get to shooting and your life ends, especially trying to get an education.
That's a Band-Aid. It has to start from the top, and right now the gun lobbies from the National Rifle Association, they have such a stranglehold on power in politics. And what's not happening is we're not putting laws into place to restrict who can get guns. In fact, in the Trump administration, measures that were put in place by the Obama administration to prevent people with psychological disorders or to restrict people with psychological disorders from buying guns, those were removed, actually, those
were one of the laws he ended up removing.
Or he lessened the restrictions. You're still developing when you're 15, 16, 17, 18. Your brain is still developing, and you're still emotional, and when you're young in your early 20s too, you react emotionally to things that I wouldn't react emotionally to. But I did then, and the thing is that we're not supporting our youth, I think.
That's very true.
I think that's part of it. I think, we've got to, in the absence of supporting our youth, we've got to put more restrictions on who can get guns and when. I don't want to take them away, but I don't think we need military grade weapons.
I don't think so either.
Available to many people.
Because I know with some guns I've heard of, you shoot once and then there's all these rounds let out. Why is it so extreme? I don't understand.
So I think it's a complicated problem, and I think that even liberals, and I would consider myself to be a liberal, but even liberals are a little bit pie in the sky, idealistic, that, hey, if we put these gun restrictions on, everything's going to be fine. No, it's more complicated than that. But that is one thing that we could do that we haven't tried yet.
We haven't. So how do you think ways around that? What are the steps to lead to exactly what you said? What could we do?
I think it's gonna continue to have to be pressure from the kids, although, after the Florida shootings, all these kids are being kind of denigrated, and they're saying that these kids are coming out to talk to the media because liberals are making them do it. They're being puppets. No, they're not. These are kids on the speech and debate team.
Right.
Yeah.
Speaking of, I'm sorry, you speech team. Something with the speech team here at Prairie State. What did you do for the speech team? You are
I'm one of the coaches.
So, speech team, I'm sorry, speech team. I've never been to any one of you guys' things. I know, who was the young man who's on the speech team? He also is in theater, too.
This year?
I think it was last semester he was in theater.
You know, Jerome?
That sounds like him. Tall, skinny.
Tall, skinny, yeah.
Yeah, right. How is everybody doing on the speech team?
He did not do it second semester.
He didn't?
No.
He really loves speech, too. That's what made it crazy.
I think that he is very, very talented, but it's very hard to do both theater and speech. It's just too much.
It is.
And I think in the end he kind of chose theater and
Theater?
Yeah.
Do you like plays?
I do.
Have you been to a play here? They had
I haven't
the
been to
Elephant
one.
Man last semester.
Was it good?
It was so good. Professor
Bit of it.
Bit. Don't treat me because you were my English teacher who passed me with an A last semester. Thank you. Thank you. Third time's a try.
Out here I'm an English major and I'm like, come on, girl.
Don't judge me, y'all. Don't judge me. I graduated on Saturday though, so I know one assignment that I absolutely love was when you said if you were to be trapped on the island, what, 7 books would you?
5.
It was 5?
I don't think I
thought it was 7.
I don't remember. I think it was 5.
What 5? What? If you were stuck on the island, what 5 books would you choose? And we couldn't have any internet. No nothing,
So,
guys. No nothing.
It would take some time to think about it, but I was really inspired by some of the choices that some of you guys had. So I think one person actually said this, and this would be something I would do too. I've never been super good at math.
Me neither, ever.
But I thought,
Ever.
you know, what if I took like a math textbook? Then I could get really good at math.
You think you can like self-teach yourself math?
I think so.
You think so?
Like, I think in a textbook, and I think certainly after all of that time, like, who knows how long I'm going to be there. So I was inspired by that, and somebody talked about, like an art book, like, learn how to draw, or...
I don't know how to draw. That'd be good.
Or something like that. One person did, I mean, this is a really practical one, but it was like a book about how to build a boat.
Because I'm trying to get up off the island.
I thought that was great. And one was like, somebody said, I probably should know the plant species that are edible, right? So
That's
taking
true.
a book like in the
Medicines
wild.
and stuff.
Yeah, so I don't think I would have thought of those things, but they were... things that I would definitely... And my favorite book of all time, and a lot of people haven't read it, but it's Ernest Hemingway. So he's famous.
Okay.
Yeah.
Look, you gotta let me know that.
Yeah, Ernest Hemingway.
What does he do? He's an author.
He was an author. He's dead.
Okay, he was an author.
Yeah. And he wrote a book called The Sun Also Rises. Hemingway is kind of known for... It's kind of a weird book for me to like, knowing who I am, but Hemingway was really into fishing, and bullfighting, and he kind of lived in Europe for a while, lived in the Florida Keys for a while, and actually I think born in Chicago area, Oak Park area, something like that. Anyway, that book is kind of about a group of people that go and live in Europe, and they're kind of lost. Like, they don't know who they are really, and they're just kind of floating by, and they kind of spend their lives partying. And it feels like, these people that probably came from really rich homes, because how else would you afford that? Right. Just kind of getting hammered every day and stuff like that, but they're also intellectuals.
Right.
And so I don't know why that stood out for me, but I kind of just really loved that book.
Can't help what you like,
And the female character, she's not super likable, but I like the character anyway.
What was she doing in that book that she wasn't like?
She was just, she was the kind of person that would be like, gets drunk all the time, and then she likes this dude, but then she likes this dude, and
promiscuous.
Kind of, but also that she's like really, really smart. And you know, her name is Brett Ashley, like a boy's named Brett. And I always thought, man, if I ever have a little girl, I'm gonna name her Brett. And they called her Lady Brett Ashley.
I love unisex names.
Yeah.
You can't have, like, unisex names are very dope.
Yeah.
Because I feel like you can name your daughter and your son the same name.
So I think I would take that and I'd probably, like, maybe I would endeavor to memorize it, you know?
Right.
What else are you gonna do on an island?
So when it came to the movies that you chose in class, I loved the movie. What was the movie with the burning of the books?
So that's Fahrenheit 451. That's also
good. Oh, so good, so good.
So I'm sad.
So good. Why?
Because they're putting out. I'm gonna look it up. They're putting out a new version of that on
Perfect. What you mean?
HBO.
You think
There's
it's
our
a classic?
dean. He's like he's like walking by and.
I love that movie.
Hang on, it's a new version with like. I gotta look up when it is.
We gotta see it. I know you probably don't.
HBO is putting out Fahrenheit 451 turns a warning against media. Okay, it's 2018. Let's look at IMDb. IMDb is the Internet Movie Database. If you're not aware,
Right. This
is where you get
everything.
This is where you can get like here's the director, here's the star. So Michael B. Jordan's in it.
Oh, I'm
Yeah, right.
We there.
And Michael Shannon. So yeah, this is when is this coming
really
out?
Good though.
When is this coming out? I thought it was soon. It's soon, at the very least.
Cause I really
May
need to see
20th,
the
today.
change.
No, Russia, today. And release date 20 May. See more. This is all on camera. This is funny. USA, May 19th. It came out yesterday.
And we're gonna see it. Cheese. For those who don't know, man, I'm kind of mad I came in late a couple of times for the movie, but it was a man. Do you know what's the characters and stuff? Because I feel like you would probably know the movie more.
So I don't remember all of their names exactly, but it was a book. It was written by Ray Bradbury originally, and the idea is that they don't want people reading books because they get too much knowledge about the world, and that causes problems, and maybe you're going to overthrow the government or stuff like that.
Right.
So it follows like these firefighters, and rather than being traditional firefighters, these firefighters are like the kinds of people that go and inspect your home and find books and then burn them.
I don't understand wasting good material.
Yeah.
On burning
So I'm really sad. It's good that you watched the old version because
it'll show you what.
And it was a really good film, and it's really good filmmaking for its time too. But this is like a brand new version with Michael B. Jordan of all people.
We definitely there to see him.
Yeah,
we got to see him.
So I thought that was interesting. Anyway, I knew it was coming because I was kind of watching Westworld on HBO.
I don't know what Westworld is. It's just like she is on top of it with the shows and stuff. And I'm just here like, I'm glad you dig for the information and you just roll it off to us because I don't have time for the hardcore.
So I'm that person, but Professor Green, he knows everything that's happening in the news. Like if I say, hey, did you see that thing about that? And he'll go, yeah, and this and this and this. And so he knows, like I'll kind of see it in the news, but he like gets every single detail out of it.
Detail. It's this one app Professor Daniel was telling us about. The app where you said we just type in something and news alerts comes to our phone about it. And you remember you said you typed in like for yours is like the presidency is, and if a law changes to alert me. Mm-hmm. What is that app again? Because I feel like that's very helpful.
Well, that's it. It does a number of things. So the app is IFT. It's like IFFT.
We have to drop something in the link.
And so what they call it is like a recipe app. So a recipe means if this happens, if this ever happens, then do this. Mm-hmm. And so you can go in and you can set it up and you can say, if the president signs a law into order, send me an email.
Okay.
Right? Or if it's 8 o'clock at night, turn my lights on if you've got automated lights. You know now how the Alexa system and the Google Home, they've got
Alexa.
And
you have an Alexa?
I have an Alexa.
Why did I feel like I knew you had an Alexa?
I use my Alexa every day. I'm like, Alexa, what's the weather?
What? I I knew Professor had an Alexa, so I had to ask you. You did. How long have you had your Alexa?
I got it. Actually, I got a really good deal right before Christmas. Like Black Friday sale. It was. I have the one that's not the super expensive one, although I bought one of those for my mom for Christmas.
Oh.
But I got mine for like $60, which was like a super smoking deal. Yeah.
Where at? Walmart?
I got it at Target.
Target?
Target. I got it. I got it when it was Black Friday, so I had spent some money, and they gave me a coupon for like 20% off. But they had it for $80, and then I got it 20% off, so I got it for basically $60. Oh yeah, and so I was like, I got to. This is no brainer.
And then Professor had the nerve to go to was it Cancun or Mexico? You went to Mexico.
I was in Cancun. Yeah.
Cancun, Mexico. When I said she had the nerve to go without the whole class, I feel some type of way.
You know what? If there was ever an opportunity for me to take a whole class to another country, I would do it. I love traveling, and I think there's so much to learn. You know, I had that question on the exam about other people's media.
Yes, and newly.
So, have you ever watched a Spanish language broadcast of a sporting event?
Yes, I have.
Okay, explain it to me.
I can't, but visually I can.
I can. So it's like this. Okay, so when you're listening to a baseball game in the United States, this is happening. Anthony Rizzo's up to bat, right? He takes a pitch, low outside, right?
Right.
So if you listen to Spanish language, and I'm not butchering it. I don't know Spanish very well enough, but it is like everything is exciting. It is all exciting.
Hey,
oh my gosh! And there's a strike.
No.
Yes, it's hilarious.
No. When I say they do that on game shows too, I know exactly what you're talking about.
So when I was there this March, I guess it was, you watch the Today Show here, and then somebody comes on and cooks you a recipe and whatever, and then they just kind of, but on hoy, right, hoy, like that's today in Spanish, and they're like, oh, crazy, like everything is so exciting, it's awesome, so, well, it's just different, right? The media, so I'm experiencing that media, and it's different, noticeably different than what our media does.
With the media literacy, is it like watching China, like Chinese news, and when they talk about their, anything with foreign newspapers, that's the same thing you're talking about besides with other countries' news outlets, media outlets, right?
In terms of media literacy? So media literacy is a number of things. That's why we kind of, the book, and we kind of talked about it for each chapter, right? So media literacy is understanding the business, right? So because it is a business, then we have to take everything that's being said with that in mind,
right?
Okay. They're trying to sell newspapers, so if I'm media literate then, or news, right? They're trying to get me to watch your news channel. If I know that they're trying to get me to watch, they're going to put the most sensationalized stuff on there. So what am I not getting? What's the information I'm not getting? And that was one of the things that does make me very angry about the Trump antics, right? He does something nuts, right? Says something crazy, and everybody covers it. And while we're covering that, sometimes he comes in and he makes a policy change that nobody notices because we're worried about that.
So fragmented news, right?
Right. So we have to pay attention to that. Media literacy is also saying, okay, when I watch this television show, who are the people making decisions? Are they white men? Are they men in general? Right? Where are the black women?
Right, that's true.
Where are the
demographics?
Where are the gay people on the show, right? And being aware enough to go, okay, I think that they're doing a fair representation of this group of people. Right? In fact, if you really probably counted it, we probably nowadays, I don't want to say this, I haven't done an analysis of this in a long time, but you might see more people on television who are gay or black or Asian than the population, like a higher percentage than the population, just to make sure we're being representative, But that's the thing. That's part of media literacy, is making sure that you're looking at that and going, okay, yeah, there are black women on this show, but none of them have any power.
None of them.
Right.
But just to say that they at least incorporated that particular race.
Or we've got plenty of Latino women on here, but they're always the victim.
Always. Always.
So and that's part of it, is being able to analyze it and say why, and find the shows that we think do a good job with that.
Oh, I loved talking to you today. I just really, the fact that she made time out of her busy schedule. As soon as I came to her with the idea of an interview for the show, she literally opened her room doors to me, you guys. A wonderful office. It smells good, clean. It really does.
It's clean.
It's clean.
I'm a clean freak.
She is the classroom I would say clean.
That's true.
You didn't play that.
No.
You didn't play that. I know this class with professor. I'm not. It's like onions in the classroom.
Oh boy.
I love you. But thank you guys for watching episode 6 of Talks with Genesis Omega, and I would like to thank Professor Dana, my mass communication class.
Yay!
Thank you so much for everything.
Thank you. This is cool. I've never done this before.
Are you serious? Did
Really?
you enjoy yourself today?
I did.
Did you?
I did. I don't know if I want to watch myself, but
You gotta watch yourself.
you guys send it to me.
I am.
Send me your link.
I am. You really have to watch yourself.
Okay, we'll see.
We'll be back.
Bye. Okay.
Let's get it.
So let's talk about it. So let's talk about it. You only gonna get the real.
We go into a courtroom and you don't even see a constitution in there anywhere. So but these are things that's right in front of our faces that we don't pay attention to. You know. So if you understand what the courtroom is, what they're trying to accomplish, it helps you understand who's in control.
Right.
For so long we look at the black robe and everybody. It's an intimidating, and it's meant to be intimidating. That's their strategy. Their tactics is to fear, is to put fear in you, intimidate you, and things like that. But if you know the law, you're not intimidated by it.